This is the Draft of Life.
Each person gets 5 picks on the chosen topic.
At the end of it, we go back and forth, we have a little conversation, and we determine who would win in an iron cage death match.
And the ultimate winner is decided on social media, so let us know what you think.
This is our inaugural presentation of the Draft of Life. And to start things off, we are going with the top metal bands of all time in the more commercialized realm.
By commercialized, basically what we mean is walking down the street, 80% of the population has heard the name of the band, is at least passingly familiar with them, can probably name a song. And as a caveat, we've also excluded Metallica because that seems like an unfair advantage.
So to get things started, we're going to go ahead and do a coin flip. Winner gets first pick. Loser gets second.
All right, one standard American quarter. Heads or tails?
Heads. I don't know if that's heads or tails. That's tails.
That is a tails.
Not a standardized coin, but we'll take it.
Okay. Number 1 for top commercialized metal bands. I'm gonna open the gates with Def Leppard.
Oh.
Everybody knows Def Leppard. Everybody can at least hum the melody to Pour Some Sugar on Me. So that is, I think, my opening salvo.
The strong pick. Definitely not the direction I was expecting. Definitely the curveball. All right. I'm going to step up and enter the conversation with Pantera.
Okay.
I think they're probably more towards the bottom end of that commercialized definition that we're giving. But at the same time, I think most people have heard the name or at least one of the songs. Kind of you hear it on the radio and you're like, yeah, I've heard this. Oh yeah, this is Pantera. So I think most people know it. And if we're talking about metal, Pantera's metal's taking Def Leppard's metal down. But we'll get to that part.
True. That is true. I'll give you that. Okay, so given that particular choice, I think that may have changed my draft strategy just a little bit. And while we have definitely excluded the leading member, I'm going to go with another member of the Big Four, as they say, and I'm going to say Megadeth. It doesn't get a whole lot bigger in thrash metal than Megadeth.
Dave Mustaine's guitar is going to be a pretty tough force. That's a pretty good team member. All right, so to keep up with those, I am going to go back. I'm going to go a little deeper. I'm going to go back to origin stories. I am going with Black Sabbath. I like that old school origination, and maybe not today, but in his prime, Ozzy's going to put up a good fight.
I have no arguments here. As you said, the Godfathers of metal. That's a tough one to beat. For my third pick, we're gonna skirt the edge of the genre just a little bit because I think it's in bounds. We're gonna go with a little new metal, and I'm gonna say Limp Bizkit. I don't know that in their prime it gets any more commercial than the Bizkit.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to catch some social media flag for the Limp Bizkit pick.
I fully expect to.
But it's an interesting call. Didn't see that one coming. So with that pick, I'm going to change my own draft strategy a little bit because I had this one on the back burner, but I don't want it to get scooped up.
No.
And just as direct competition with the Limp Bizkit, I'm taking Papa Roach.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's a fair contest. I think they're super close. Kind of one brought about the other, but
I can't argue with that one. All right. So
2 picks left.
2 picks left. Draft strategy. Okay. For my 4th pick, I'm going to do maybe a little bit of a callback to my first pick, at least a close cousin. I'm going to say Motley Crue. When you look at commercialization and just the excess of the hair metal days, it doesn't get much bigger than Tommy Lee playing his drum set upside down.
Man, Motley Crue, such a good pick. Looking at what's left, I am going to go back to the Big Four well. And again, I think this is maybe right on the verge of that Commercialized, but it's got to count, and I'm going with Anthrax. I think, any band that was at least partially responsible for Metallica's coming out party in New York and hosting them and being such a vital part, plus the number of years they've been putting music together at the level they're putting it together, I think Anthrax is got to be on the list, and I want it to be on my list.
Fair enough. Okay, we're down to the last round, the last 2 picks of the draft. There's still a lot of options out there. And I think commercialization can be described in many different ways, so I have a lot of different picks running through my head at the moment. But I think I'm going to go with a band that, from a commercial standpoint, is really well known. They've had a lot of really good songs. They clearly have made a ton of money. And I'm going to say Korn.
Oh. Interesting choice on Korn. A lot of longevity. Mm-hmm. Been doing it for a long time. Every once in a while they recruit children from people in Metallica to play with them, which counts for something.
That's right.
All right. For the 5th pick, the 10th pick, and the final pick in the draft of life for commercialized metal bands. Man, there's a lot of good bands that are getting left out on this conversation here.
That is true.
But I am going to go to match your Korn. I think I'm going Godsmack.
Ooh.
Going Godsmack because if I'm sitting there, honorable mention to Linkin Park here, because if I'm thinking back to like college days, what would come on, what would get us going, what did we listen to when we were playing Tetris 64 and GoldenEye on the N64. I think Godsmack is got to be my next pick here. It's got to make it onto the list. All right, you got the first pick. I'm going to take my first run at why I think I have the overall better team here.
Okay.
First off, I've got the Godfather. I've got Sabbath on there. I think Sabbath just makes that bass so strong, backed up with that heat, with that energy, with the most metal. Almost. It's got to be competitive for the most metal band on either list. In Pantera. Anthrax being that old school again. And then the new age of Papa Roach and Godsmack. I think I'm well-rounded. I'm covering a lot of years. Got a ton of album sales. The voices, the overall musicianship of these bands. I think I'm walking away with this draft of life.
Okay. In looking at the team I've put together here, I think I've made a really strong case for the most commercialized team of metal bands, if for no other reason than sheerly the amount of excess that was happening in the 80s and early 90s when some of these bands were bigger than life. And then I've got, like you said, you've got some of the foundation there. I've got some of the foundation from thrash metal in Megadeth, all the way up through bands like Korn, who frankly are still relevant today. And as you said, they've been doing it for a long time. Not as long as some of these other bands on the list, certainly. But I think just if you look at nothing else other than just the amount of excess and just the number of album sales of these 5 bands, I don't think it's a contest.
Yeah, I mean, the album sales of Def Leppard make the whole thing kind of tough, but we might have to look at those numbers and see what they look like post-debate here. So, all right, so those are the 10 that we've picked. We'll post these up on social media. We'll figure out the best way to do it. We'll get some votes. We'll tally up comments. And at some point, we'll come back. We'll let you know who the winner in this debate is, according to you, the general public.
And then come back next time and see what we're drafting next. And until then, you're on the clock.